Today on Locked On Rockies, the Rockies finish up the draft, an interesting start to the second half of the season. Plus, the Home Run Derby remains the best all-star event in all of sports.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 15th day of July in the year 2025. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies, just like so many of you have. We'll read a couple of the comments reacting to the Ethan Holiday draft. And, of course, we got some more deep diving into the draft as Blake Street Banter has a full breakdown that we're going to read from a little bit here. Give you some of my takes as well as we go through this draft recap. But I also want to talk a little bit about the second half of the season, how the second half of the season can be a really interesting couple of weeks for the Rockies here, as they're going to be entering about a roughly 10 to 11, it's basically 13-day stretch so roughly 2 weeks we're thinking about here, where you're leading up to the trade deadline. Interestingly enough, one of those interesting things, the Rockies don't have a game on trade deadline day. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and more, all coming up on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do, today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Okay, before we dive into everything here on the draft, we are pulling this from BlakeStreetBanter.com, by Tyler Pador. He's got the recap that we're going to be reading from. They've been Blake Street Banter, one of the best prospect following Rockies outlets out there. Always doing great work there. And our guy Tyler has a over 5,000 word recap of this. So we're not going to be able to get to everything here, but my initial takeaways from the draft, and this goes from one of Tyler's points here at the end, is targeting the early bats. I like the fact that when you're looking at the first picks for the Rockies, the majority of them were offensive players here. When we're looking at the first 5 picks for the Rockies here, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 out of the first 5 picks for the Rockies were offensive, or guys that at least are not pitchers, because the Rockies' second pick goes to JB Middleton from Southern Mississippi, and then they go Max Bailu out from Texas, who apparently they talked to Troy Tulowitzki with, so maybe at least a little small thing there that kind of proves that one of those storylines that we were following this year of Tulo not being all that interested in maybe talking about the Rockies, but knows his role at Texas can be a factor for his team, for his players and his guys getting into the league. I'm sure Tulo ain't going to shy away from getting more of his players into the big leagues there. So great option to have. But like I said here, as we're kind of looking at these first picks, these top picks for the Rockies, they mixed in the pitchers, right? The thing that I think a lot of people wanted them to see, a lot of people wanting to go in of the classic thing, not only with the Rockies, but for everybody, is you can't have enough pitching. And they certainly added that on with, as Tyler points out here, the last 10 picks of the Rockies draft, all pitchers. So basically the Rockies here, after drafting, I believe, Zach Rogecki, I think, here in round 9, it's all pitching there for the Rockies after that, which, hey, you're not all of that's going to hit, but you're trying to of course fill out those minor league rosters. You're trying to continue to add to your pitching staff. But I liked that the top of the list, that when you're talking about the cream of the crop, the top level players, the focus was on the offense there. That's what I think the Rockies needed to do. This is I firmly believe, and I preach, that the path back to relevancy for the Rockies is paved with offense. The offense will be the thing that carries them and is the big strength here. So let's read a little bit about The Rockies picks here, the top five here, and let's start with JB Middleton here. Middleton is electric on the hill while remaining in control of his stuff. The fastball sits 93 to 95, touching 97, coming from a 3/4 slot, allowing it to play up in the zone without relying on spin. The heater limited hitters to a .662 OPS this year and picked up a solid 44.5 ground ball percentage. Middleton's second pitch is a power slider that works like a cutter with hard cutting action up to 92. It's a pitch that can saw off lefties and wipe out righties, working a 455 OPS on the season with a solid 41.1% whiff percentage. Middleton's changeup is only used about 10% of the time, but can touch 89 with late run. So, 4-pitch mix here, which is a good thing always. Obviously, here's the final here. Middleton has mixed in a more traditional cutter that can get into the mid 90s, and adding a fourth shape to the arsenal could make the Mississippi product a legit number 3 starter in a rotation and even higher in the Rockies crop. So great stuff there. Southern Miss's ace in 2025. Tyler adds 6-foot Middleton is a twitchy and quick arm. He dealt a 2.31 ERA across 105.1 innings this year, striking out 122 while just walking 25. Love to see that. Love to see high strikeout numbers there with the low walk rate. And of course, the one of my favorite things of this breakdown here from Tyler on Blake Street Banter, control. Control has to be the emphasis for the Rockies pitchers and the development here. Far too many times we've seen the Rockies not only miss their locations and be punished by that on from that perspective, where they're putting the ball in places that the opposition does damage to, but the walks, the free bases, the things getting out of hand late in ball games is certainly a big problem for them here. Is something that we'll have to watch. And of course, when even if you can have a 4-pitch mix, how can that translate to altitude as well? Something that we'll have to talk about and see how that goes. I might, like I said, I think I have to emphasize why I rely so much on our great Rockies media resource friends, is because there's just so many names, so many players. So if you're a college baseball fan, you're locked in on some of these guys, and I'm pronouncing the names wrong, I apologize, but let me know, and we'll go there, because I've always said every year I need to watch more college ball. I just unfortunately I have not. But here is the outfielder from Texas, Max Bellew. I think that's actually probably closer to his. Bellew has been a 2-year starter in the corner outfield for Texas, logging 27 homers over the last couple of seasons in just 91 games. Hailing from East Texas, Bellew blew up at Texas and physically developed into an athletic specimen capable of contributing in all aspects. Unfortunately, Bellew missed most of the 2025 season with a thumb injury and could not build a type of momentum that might have vaulted him into the top 40 selections here. So the other follow-up here that Tyler has mentioned, the tools are present here for Bellew. His 90th percentile exit velocity stands at an impressive 106.7 miles per hour, which equates to at least 55 grade power. And his max exit velocity was all the way at 112.6 miles per hour. There's big time power potential. There's big time power potential in Bellew's more compact swing. Does need some polish, as Tyler mentions, with some which is got a not making contact with the ball. His chase rate is higher. So when you kind of see those buzzwords in the Rockies, you're a little hesitant, right? You're a little worried. You're a little nervous about that, because it's just the developing that out of it, right? You just see so much of it this year, right? The chase rate, the bad contact, the not being able to make swings, to make the contact that you need to be effective that way. But again, if the tools are right, if you have the right stuff here, you're going to be able to do some damage here. And here's the last little bit here about Bellew. Bellew can get by in center field defensively, but may fit best in a corner long term, where his plus arm can be an asset. This pick is very reminiscent of Jared Thomas, who was Bellew's teammate for a couple of seasons at Texas. The raw ingredients are here for a quality 5-tool outfielder, and if early results from Thomas are any indication, the Rockies could have a pair of University of Texas outfielders on their big league roster. So that's always an interesting little wrinkle there as well. We'll see if that pans out. It's so hard with all of this stuff. I mean, it's such great coverage and such great focus on all these guys. But I did see this really funny tweet basically about saying, it was like, I think for the Nationals or for someone like that, it was, here's my breakdown of all the picks. Might be good, might not. Might be good, might not. Might be good, might not. And that's so true, right? I mean, it's so early for a lot of these guys. It's so early for us to really be able to make up our mind about this. But it is good to see, you still can see some of these signs, right? And you can still see some of these things. I like big power. I like big bats. I like guys that can hit the heck out of the ball. There is those questions of, though, when we're talking about, we talked about the Rockies being able to develop Holiday. Can the Rockies develop Bellew here and able to work on those issues there when it comes to the contact and the swings and the chase rate, something that we know that Rockies hitting has struggled with before. Okay, let's keep breaking down a couple. Let's keep seeing what else we got to know about the rest of the top five for the Rockies. I'm going to make sure that we get someone on to break down the draft for us in a little bit more detail, as well as we keep rolling through the All-Star week here. And speaking of All-Star week, we'll talk a little bit about the Home Run Derby in the second half of the season for the Rocks coming up on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Monarch Money. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. You're going to be able to find all those little things, all the things that add up to make you say, hey, why am I not reaching where I want to be financially? Well, you're going to see how that takeout, those streaming services, all those things you might have signed up for and forgotten about are impacting your finances. And if you share finances with someone, you can stay on the same page with a shared account, tracking everything you need all in one place. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Locked On Rockies here, back with you for segment number 2 of today's episode of Locked On Rockies. We are reading from the draft breakdown from Blake Street Banter. Like I said, this is your spot. This breakdown's got everything, all the names you need to know. Of course, plenty of folks, lots of great draft coverage from all of the great Rockies media members out there. So make sure that you're checking out all that stuff. And hey, even us here at Locked On Rockies rely on all the great work that our friends in the Rockies media landscape, they do great work. So that's why we're happy to support said great work. Okay, we just finished up talking about the Rockies' second and third picks here. Rockies going Ethan Hedges, the catcher here from USC, a two-way guy at USC. Hedges logged 15 innings on the hill this year with a 2.40 ERA, but his future lies at the hot corner. His 1.081 OPS this season stands out, along with 14 homers and 44 walks to 50 strikeouts. Right there is something I like to focus in on with that type of stuff. That batter's eye, the discipline, that type of sign is the stuff that I really want to see. I mean, the blueprint for a great Coors Field hitter has already been there. And it's hard, of course, we're talking about a Hall of Famer here, right? When I bring this name up. But if you can be a Todd Helton, if you can be a guy, and of course strikeouts are going to be higher than when Todd was there and things. Strikeouts are going to be are going to be higher across the board for folks. I understand that. But if you're a guy that can keep your walks and your strikeouts close as a hitter while also producing an OPS of over 1,000, I mean, that's the type of hitting profile that will just lead to such great success for the Rockies, especially when you're thinking about how that can carry at home at Coors Field. You know, the immediate reaction here, though, is third base. How does that impact possibly Holiday? But difference in ages here. We're talking about Holiday coming out of high school, and this, we got the. Let me get the recap here. Hedges here, of already coming out of USC. So, and I like this too. The other thing, because we're seeing this on this season right now as well, where it's, hey, you don't have to have every guy hit for the insane power, but if he can hit a lot and get on base, that is going to be a key edge for you. And we've seen that pan out in Tyler Freeman this year. Here's what we got here from Blake Street Banter on Hedges from Tyler here. What he adds, and that's why I wanted to bring this up here. Hedges is hit over power with average contact, 86.4% Z contact, and chase 24.4% rates that give him a shot to hit the ground running in the pros. The power is somewhat limited here, 103.6 90th percentile exit velocity, but Hedges has proven he can get in the game thanks to a consistent line drive oriented swing. Hedges has crushed fastballs, something the Rockies have struggled with this year, to the tune of 1.19 OPS against, showing there may be a trend in this draft for targeting fastball killers. Something, I wonder why. Defensively, Hedges is polished with quality footwork and actions, in his arm up to 96 on the hill allows him to be an asset in the field. If you can get an average hit tool to pair with quality defensive contributions, Hedges can become a low-end regular or high-end backup. This pick likely comes in under slot to support a draft record bonus for fellow infielder Ethan Holiday. So again, this isn't a move that you're sitting here that may change everything, but when you're looking at a profile of the things to be encouraged by, those type of guys can make their way in. We are seeing the impact of having Freeman in the lineup, but we're not expecting Tyler Freeman to go out there and hit the ball over the wall. We're expecting him to make contact, get on base, and then be effective there. And mixed in, if we can get some plus side defense or some solid defense there, that brings some utility, absolutely, for the Rockies as they're going through this, especially as, their third base, it could be a really interesting spot for the Rockies here in just a couple of weeks. And going forward, the Rockies have had, for as long as, really we can remember, for a while, the third base has been accounted for. There has been someone that has been holding down third base as the starter with zero doubt to your mind on who it's going to be. Can this be, an opportunity for someone like Hedges to come up and get an opportunity, be someone that's going to be able to get on the field because they're able to maybe not kill you with power, but hit you, but get on base and be quality in that way there. Okay, so let's see. That should be pick number 4, and we're going to round things out here with pick number 5, I believe, if my math is correct. Let me make sure that my math is correct here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, Riley Kelly here out of UC Irvine. One thing I did like too, I like the fact that the Rockies, went focused majority on college level guys that are kind of a little bit older, some people that can kind of start playing a little bit of a factor into the Rockies in more of a hopefully on a more accelerated timetable. You let Holiday develop a little bit more, go through the system a little bit, and kind of use some of these other guys as well. But let's finish out here with just, like I said, all of the picks, and hopefully we can get some guys either from Blake Street Banter or from around the Rockies media world to dive into these more here. But Riley Kelly, the right-handed pitcher from UC Irvine, hailing from Orange County. Kelly stayed local and served as a cog in Irvine's rotation this year with a 3.78 ERA and 66 2/3 innings. He struck out 70 and walked 32. Kelly is known for his electric 3,000 RPM curveball that gets about 60 inches of drop from his higher arm slot. It sits 78 to 81 and is a true weapon and potential plus pitch. Kelly induced just a 420 OPS against his slider with a 35.6% whiff percentage. Kelly's fastball is an average offering sitting 90 to 93, touching 96 with quality carry. We'll have to see. We got a guy on the Rockies that's got a crazy curveball and not the most gas in the tank when it comes to velocity in Austin Gomber, and it can be successful. So one of my main things there is, how much is that going to work at altitude? How much are you going to be able to recreate that? How much are you going to be able to make sure that it's being able to be effective at altitude when the pitch doesn't move as much? But I do like someone that can come in and throw some wicked junk. 3,000 RPM curveball, 60 inches of drop. I know those sound like buzzwords, but that means that ball is moving, and it can be really interesting to see how it pans out for the Rockies. Plenty more draft coverage available for you here, including Cam Nelson, the outfielder from Wake Forest, Matt Klein, the catcher from Louisville, and way more, and all on the pitchers that the Rockies took with their last 10 picks of the draft. You can see it all at BlakeStreetBanter.com. Their draft recap, all available for you there. So great insight, great look there. And like I said, I think there is some encouraging stuff in this draft. Some people were giving. I saw some folks in the media there giving props and praise to the Rockies a little bit. Didn't see a lot of grades there, but Rockies seem to be targeting some needs and targeting some interesting guys. I like the idea of getting those of guys that can hit the fastball well. I like the idea of looking at bats early on in the draft. You know, there's a lot of pitchers available in those later stages of the draft. So it's good to see that that they're able to go out and kind of get some of their guys that they wanted. And so we will break it all down when we can, and we'll see how these guys pan out and how things go for their next stages of their careers. But always exciting draft time here. But let's finish up with a quick little note about the Rockies' second half start to the season, and just a brief couple of moments on how fun the home run derby is. We'll talk about that and more coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is a reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need, delivered fast, from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5. That's promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Back at it here with you on this edition, this 15th of July edition of Locked On Rockies. Rockies on the All-Star break, heading into an interesting couple of weeks here. The team could look drastically different, depends on how effective they are at being sellers here. And when you're looking at their series here to start this second half, their records might not be the most, it's kind of an interesting spot here, because you got two teams that are below 500 but are underperforming that their current situation, and maybe we shouldn't take that lightly. Or maybe since we're getting to the second half, we're kind of seeing teams iron out to not being as good as they were. But even though the Rockies have the most difficult strength of schedule remaining for this year, because again, these are teams that are, we're talking about the Rockies starting against Minnesota, a team that's only 2 games below 500, and at the end of this Rockies series could flip that and be above 500 like we've seen teams do. We're seeing them play St. Louis, who's been playing good baseball this year at 51-46. And then they have the Orioles, who are in a really interesting spot here, as well as they're kind of in this. They're kind of in a spot where they might be selling. They might be a team that looks different at the beginning and at the end of this series. It's the third to last. It's the series that's going to be right before the deadline. The Rockies will be in Cleveland leading up to the trade deadline here. So we'll see how much. We're looking at the fact that we could be looking at the last starts for the Rockies, for Senzatella, for Marquez, or Freeland. I mean, Freeland, Senza, Marquez are scheduled to pitch in the Minnesota series. It's a possibility that this might be the last or one of the second to last time that you see these guys, because they, good chance that they pitch probably in that Baltimore and Cleveland series there as well. So the Rockies could be, they're going up against teams that are in weird spots themselves to start the year going into the trade deadline. They're facing the trade deadline. Those other teams are going to be facing the trade deadlines as well. Does Cleveland sell? Do they look at it as that? Even though the Tigers are pretty far out in that division, But if you're the Guardians, you're only a couple behind the Twins. The wild card is going to start kind of, it's starting to take shape a little bit, but very few teams are on that outside looking in. The Orioles, one of the, the worst team that the Rockies will see record-wise throughout their 4 series here. So not the most on paper intimidating things when you're looking at record and performance of these teams. So maybe an opportunity for the Rockies to take advantage. But here's the flip side. Going into the break, all the teams that they played above 500 in their last 10 games, with the exception of the Cardinals. The Cardinals in the last 10 games before the break, 4-6. Every other team 6-4. So not on a crazy run, not like the Red Sox, like we saw there or anything like that. And we can't just get bogged down in the fact of records and things like and those things. These are all still teams with a lot of talent on them and a lot of possibilities here. And the Rockies are opening on the series. The Rockies are opening with the first 6 games at Coors Field, which we'd usually be saying is a good thing, but has not been a good thing for the Rockies as well. So we'll see that, because after that you get Pittsburgh, which is interesting, but then you're going to go into a gauntlet of Toronto, Arizona, St. Louis, Arizona, Los Angeles. And I know Arizona hasn't been, up to snuff either, but this is also an Arizona team that plays the Rockies a lot and knows how to handle business. So it would be interesting to see how the Rockies start this season against competition that isn't maybe playing up to what they believe in. And maybe in the case of the Cardinals, outperforming expectations, to see how the Rockies handle that. And of course, it's always, interesting running into old Nolan Arenado there. And of course, the Tyler Freeman revenge series coming up in Cleveland as well. So we'll see how that pans out. And just to finish here, we're recording during the All-Star, the Home Run Derby here, so I'm not sure how it's gonna finish. But as I'm watching this Matt Olson round come to the last little bit of the Matt Olson round here, I don't love the camera angles. It's been a bit herky jerky, the production side, but I just think the Home Run Derby really embodies what a fun all-star game weekend, whatever event it should be. If you've listened to the show before, this is nothing new. I've always liked the Home Run Derby. It hasn't been perfect. There's been obviously issues with some of the rules and this and that and blah, blah, blah. But in terms of what it is, I just want to watch some of the best hitters in baseball, the guys that hit the ball the hardest and the farthest, go up there and just rake. It's exactly what we were trying to hoping for, and it's just as fun. I mean, you can tell that the players have a blast doing it. You can tell the broadcast is having a good time doing it, and I love all the camera angles. I mean, why not highlight one of the coolest things in sports, which is just blasting dingers? My one kind of thing that I'm always hesitant about, though, with the Home Run Derby, the kids in the outfield, man, it's always scaring me. And I'm watching in this one, I'm watching kids collide. I'm watching major leaguers rip balls at them, rip balls into the outfield. Like, it's a little intimidating. It's a little crazy. I mean, it's always wild to kind of see these great athletes just ripping balls. And there's a bunch of kids running around like fielding these things. I know they're way far back. I know there's a lot of them. I know all that thing. But there's still some balls that are ripped. I mean, those balls are getting launched in some of these plays, and then especially they don't communicate and they're running into each other. I think it's fun and it's cool, and I'm glad the kids get to do it. But it's like, those kids got to have those head on the swivel a little bit more. They got to be a little bit more locked in, I think, on making sure that everybody's safe and all that stuff. But my point is, there's a lot of the hullabaloo, and we'll talk probably a little bit about that after the All-Star game, or as we kind of continue to, break things down in terms of our All-Star Week coverage. I know that I got some grief with the player voting, with fan voting and all that stuff. But when you're talking about a pure, fun, awesome All-Star event, the Home Run Derby continues to be the best one. And with the way that they're kind of moving everything along here, it's now, I think the Derby, as of recording, it's approaching the 2-hour mark here, but they're about to advance into the final rounds. I mean, that type of stuff helps it flow a little bit better, and we'll see. But we'll see how it continues to evolve. But I think it's been kind of cool that they've tweaked, done some different stuff, and made it a pretty entertaining product there. And there's just a lot of history with the home run derby has just always been what I look forward to the most. I mean, the All-Star game is cool. The All-Star game is fun. And you know, I know, again, the issues that some people have with the voting and stuff aside, I think the baseball all-star experience is one of the better ones that we see. It's short and sweet too. You get the derby, there's a bunch of the stuff on the weekend leading up to it, which is always cool too. But the big events, you got the derby, you got the game, boom. And then you get your little bit of downtime before you pick up in the second half of the season. So I'm a big derby guy. Let me know what you think of the home run derby in the comments below. Let me know what you think about the Rockies draft as well. As we're going to wrap things up for this edition of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB and Locked On MLB Game Night, breaking down all the games all season long for you here on the network. Of course, we got you covered with more Colorado sports as well. Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, and Buffs, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. And I believe I might have saw Locked On. I can't remember if I saw something about the Rams as well. I might be getting ahead of myself there, but all sorts of great Colorado sports coverage available for you here on the Locked On Podcast Network. And until next time, folks, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.